Hello, and today we are talking about making a survey. So, topic is making a survey. So we're getting closer to our ultimate goal is to make our own surveys, collect our data, represent the data, and make conclusions. So, what do I want you to be able to do today? I want you to be able to identify poor qualities in a given survey, and I want you to be able to offer suggestions to improve them. Okay? And we're going to talk about what makes a good survey question and what makes a poor one. So we'll go through and look at each of those aspects. So when you're creating a survey with questions, so this is what you're going to be doing eventually here for your final unit project. You should keep the questions simple. Do not make these questions complicated. All right? You want to keep the question simple and to the point. You want to keep it specific. All right? You want to ask a specific question here. You want to keep it readable. You do not want to use big words or difficult words that people will not be able to understand. So you want to keep it simple and to the point. What you should not do, you can't use jargon. You can't use ribbies, peeps, LOL. Okay? You have to use terminology that everyone would be comfortable with. You should not use abbreviations, IEP, LOL, OMG, MDHS. Abbreviations are fine for yourself and for people that know about it, but if you're giving this survey to someone that doesn't know a whole lot about it, they won't be able to help you a whole lot with those short forms. Try not to use negatives. So we don't want to use words like wouldn't, are not, shouldn't. We want to ask positive questions. What would you do? What should you do? It just makes the answering of the question easier. We don't want to use leading questions. All right, so I got an example of a leading question. So using a 3-point scale, indicate how satisfied you are with your math teacher, the best teacher ever. Okay, so it's putting pressure on you to obviously identify the obvious. I mean, of course, I'm the best teacher ever, but it's forcing or providing an opinion when you're looking for an opinion. So that's called bias. So it's a leading question. And be insensitive. We should not be insensitive. How many stupid red Smarties are they? How many yucky carrots do you eat every day or every week? Okay, you don't want to be insensitive to the reader, because if someone takes offense, they're not going to answer your survey properly, and also you'll end up with some bias there as well. So those are some things that we're going to keep in mind as we go through this lesson and the project itself. So types of survey questions. So I believe there are 6 that I want to look at. So open questions. This allows people to answer in their own words. So for example, what is the most important issues for teenagers in your school? So this allows the person who's reading this question to answer it however they want. Okay, a couple of problems here. Okay, people don't like writing anymore. So what happens is that sometimes the question's left blank. So that causes a problem. So these are some of the things I've seen in the past. Okay? A lot of people don't like writing down stuff, so they leave it blank. Or there's too wide a range of answers. So it makes it very tough for you to do an analysis or answer a question about a problem when you have too many different answers. So open questions are fine. I would recommend you only ever want to use maybe one on a survey, because if there's more than one, people just get tired of doing your survey and just won't answer it. So there's the open type of question. Closed questions. So closed questions, these are where people choose from a list. So same question again. What issue is most important for teenagers in your school? So here are 2, 4, 5 specifics, and in case you missed one, we have an other category, which means the person would then have to check this box, and then they have to write down the other answer. So it provides you, in case you didn't think of everything, it provides the person to provide an answer. So simple and to the point. All right. And it narrows the answers. Narrows possible answers. And for someone that, if you look back at the first question there, what happens if I ask that question to you? Because I made up a generic question here. So what is most important for teenagers in your school? if I gave you a survey and said, here you go, answer it. Questions like this need time for you to answer. It's not something that you can just say, oh yeah, this is what I was thinking about. If you provide them with suggestions, okay, if you get suggestions, you might say, oh yeah, you know what, actually, job is pretty important for me, or hey, sports is pretty important for me. So if you provide them with suggestions, sometimes you get just better answers overall. And then we have informational questions. So an informational question, it collects personal information. It allows you to make comparisons about people. So some examples are gender, male or female, so they check the appropriate one, age, grade, and whatever else depending on what you're doing in the survey. Make sure, please note that when you are looking at this one, that there's no overlap in the age. So 8 to 12, the next one's 13 to 17. So there's no overlap between them, 17 to 18. You don't want to have overlap because it confuses the person writing. So these are usually your initial questions. This is where you start off when you're creating that survey. So initial questions. All right. So there are the first three types of survey questions that you're going to, first of all, analyze and look at, and then eventually, when we get to the project, you're going to create this yourself. All right. The fourth, checklist questions. So checklist questions are for ones that you know that there's more than one answer. So people can choose several options. So what sports do you play? And I only put 2 up there, so it's not a very good example in that respect. But if a girl's reading this, she'll say, yeah, I play ringette, and yeah, I play hockey, and I play soccer. So you can have a huge list, and you can have people answer what sports that they play. Okay, so what it does is it provides an efficient format for collecting answers. Answers to questions that have multiple answers. All right. So it has multiple answers. So this checklist then just gives you a nice, easy way to look at it and say, okay, here are the ones that they checked, and you can record the information quick. Ranking questions. Excuse me. So people rank several options in their opinion. So for example, what are the best sports where 1 is the best? So maybe I should put brackets around that. And 4 is the worst. So here they have to decide what sport is their best sport, or which one they think is the best, and then they rank the worst one as a 4. So if I'm looking at this for myself, I'm thinking, okay, 1, 2 for ringette, because I don't want to be beat up by the ringette players, 3 for curling, and I'll put 4 for soccer, hoping that the soccer players can't catch up. So anyway, so I mean, they're going to rank them. So hockey's their favorite, ringette's second. So what it does is it allows them to provide a sliding scale as to which they prefer. All right. So it provides an option for opinion. And again, if you left this as an open question, people wouldn't answer it properly, or they wouldn't put a whole lot of thought into it. But if you put the thought into the question, people don't have to put a lot of thought into their answers, and you're going to get relevant information. The last one is a ranking question. So people can rank an event using a scale. So how much do you enjoy your math class? So you have the option of best ever, or you could say, well, it's better than English. And this one's, well, since the math teacher's asking, yeah. So anyway, kind of a funny example, but you can move it. Usually people say, you know, love it, like it, and then they can go down even further. They put one in there, okay, and dislike. So they can put a bit more of a sliding scale in there. I was being a little bit on the trivial side when I gave that example, but so it allows them 4 options to answer. and it's a little bit more of a scale for them to decide on. So that provides them, that's your 6 types of questions that you're going to look at, and you're going to see some examples of them. And I'm also, like I said, as we get closer to the project itself, you're going to actually be creating this and doing a whole bunch of stuff with the questions. So I want to take a look at it. I got a couple of examples to go through. So let's talk about this example that I have here, and I'm going to just enlarge it a little bit if I can. It's a little easier for you to read. So let's talk about some of the things that aren't good about this particular little part of the survey. So the first problem with this survey is this right here. Okay, this survey is sponsored by the Friends for the Election of Rebecca Committee. So what this is it creates bias. You never ever tell people specifically why you're doing it. If you're doing it to find out how Rebecca's going to do, that's fine, but don't put this title on. So it should be removed. You should never say, this is why I'm doing the survey. All right, so it should be removed. All right, now, what are the problems with the next outline? So if you look at it, the question then says, following it down, circle the appropriate response. So gender, male, female, that's okay. But when you get to grade 9, 10, 11, 12, the problem that we have in the Canadian school system is what about 5th year? So for people to come back for a 5th year, what about those people? Where do they fit in the category? So it's an easy fix there. You can just add 5th year to it. On election day, I intend to vote for. Now here's an exaggeration. It's tough to tell with the text here. It's a little easier in the homework. Rebecca is bolded. Rebecca is bolded. So this creates bias. Okay? You should not bold the right answer. It's like telling the person who you're doing the survey, so who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote for? You know, who are you going to vote for? That's not appropriate. So you should not bold. Okay? So very, very important to remember that. Oops. Should not bold. And finally, when you look at the I want category here, okay, I want more dances. Okay, that's acceptable. I want more dress down days. Okay, sure. I want more holidays. Yeah, sure. I want more fun. Well, everyone has a different opinion of what fun is. So it's a very vague answer. Okay, because my idea of fun is being in a math class. So of course I want people to be in more math classes. But yours may not be the same as that. So that is a very vague answer, and usually we try to avoid those. We want them to be a little bit more specific when we're writing them up. All right, I think I'll cut it off there, and I've got one more part of the video to finish up on this particular note, and then we can move on to the next topic.